Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all across the world, from Australia, Australia's in here, Australia to the North Pole, to Michigan, to Olivet, Michigan, to Clinton Township, Michigan, to Los Angeles, California, to Boston, Massachusetts, wherever you are, if you're here, welcome to the Underground MMA Show. You're here for a reason. You're here to talk about mixed martial arts. You're here to talk about the world of fighting. That's why I'm here. I'm here to talk about the world of fighting. And you're here listening to me talk about the world of fighting. Why are you listening to me talk about the world of fighting? I don't know. But if you are, thanks. You're a great supporter of the Underground Floor. Anyway, we're rocking the UFC Fight Island tee. I don't know what it is. Every time I buy something from the UFC store, I do not know what it is. I bought something off there last week after the Poirier-McGregor fight, and I mean, I'm just waiting on it to come, and I'm waiting for it to be terrible quality. Because so far, this shirt had it for about 2 months, ripped. Spent $120 on a fight kit jacket, which I know that's my own fault. I spent $120 on a jacket. Why did I do that? I don't really know. But here we stand. I did it. It was a Christmas present. I didn't buy it. Whatever. But regardless, my family spent $120 on a fight kit jacket. Dustin Poirier on the back. Poirier going down the back. Wore it about 4 times. Washed it because I spilled something on it. All the letters came off. Completely garbage jacket now. Now it just sits there and says Dustin. Like, oh yeah, Dustin who? Dustin Ortiz? No, Dustin Poirier. Yeah, UFC store. If you're listening to this, I love you guys. I'm always gonna buy your stuff just because it's a monopoly business. I've got to rock my UFC merch, but FIO, man, figure it out, man. Go to some new suppliers or something. Do something cool, man. Because this quality is trash. I ordered UFC 257. It's literally the most basic T-shirt in the world. UFC 257, right there. Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier poster on the back. Literally simple as it gets. Literally, besides like a plain shirt, literally the most simple shirt I probably own. Or I don't own it yet. I will own it hopefully within the week. Haven't even been sent a tracking number yet. You know how the UFC is. You never know. You never know when things are gonna happen. But with the UFC, when fights are gonna happen. We've got fights coming up this weekend. I got them pulled up on my phone this time. Cause all right, here. I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. We're coming at you on Zoom because I feel like me being the producer of this podcast, if I'm able to talk to this on Zoom, I feel like my quality will be better. My sound quality will be better. You're right here. It's like we're face to face. It's like I'm talking to you right here. Ba da ba ba ba. I know it's the exact same thing that it'd be like if I was in the studio, especially being up at college, up at school. It's way too hard to make sure all my mics are charged, make sure everything's right, make sure my phone recording device is charged, make sure the tripod's set up perfectly. And with school, baseball, and just everything going on, having a social life a little bit, roll comets. I feel like this is the most efficient way to do this show. But I promise you guys, soon as I don't know, late May rolls around and I'm back at home, I promise I'll be back in the studio doing this the full quality that you guys want to see. I know like 10 people listen to these, but eventually, hopefully somebody will hear me say something and then, okay, like I'll listen to this dude now. Like this dude's cool. This dude's 18 years old. He is a college student. He's trying to make things happen. He's trying to work for the UFC one day. So, hey, Dana White, if you listen to this, you know who to hire. Anyway, for the foreseeable future, the next 3.5, 4 months, expect to see me on Zoom every Monday for this show. This show's gonna be tough for me because we had a strange weekend with no fights. That doesn't happen much. It's weird. It's weird, definitely. But at the same time, it was kind of a good week because it was our first weekend of real baseball practice. For the start of the season, and so it was like I'm kind of glad that there was no fights this weekend because it gave me the full time to focus on this weekend, practice plans, stuff like that. Shout out to the comments. Shout out to all of that comments. You guys are the man. We're gonna take this conference by storm this year. Roll comments. But yeah, we've got fights coming up this weekend. I'm very, very stoked about this card. This is a card that it's not the most star-studded card. I'll be honest. It's obviously not a pay-per-view. It's not a December 19th fight night card, but this is a card with a ton of good names, a ton of good fights. I'll just start off with the main event. You've got Alistair Overeem going against Alexander Volkov. In my opinion, Alistair Overeem has looked phenomenal his past couple fights. Who was his last? I wish that the MMA Junkie app would work a little bit better. But I mean, hey, it's just the world that we're gonna have to live in, man. Let's see. Alistair Overeem. Alistair Overeem's last couple of fights, I'm pulling him up right now. His last fight, he knocked out Augusto Sakai in a main event in the 5th round. He proved to himself, he proved to everybody he can go 5 rounds. Alistair Overeem is a top 10 greatest heavyweight of all time. If you don't think so, then you don't know fighting. Like, I mean, I'm 18 years old. I didn't start watching fighting until December 12th, 2015. Shout out to Conor McGregor, 13 seconds. But even I know, like, okay, like this is legit. This is that guy. Like, this guy is a beast. But Alistair Overeem's been on, kind of a, he's been taking out these dudes who UFC's trying to push over him. His past 4 fights, he knocked out Sergey Pavlovich, who's a young up and coming dude. They're trying to put him over. They gave him the rings. I think he's done because he just got knocked out by Curtis Blades. Disgusting elbow. I remember watching it. I was like, dear God. And then they gave him Sergey Pavlovich, knocked him out in the 1st. Then they throw him Alexei Oleinik, knocked him out. Alexei Oleinik, he's old. Don't get me wrong. But if you knock out Alexei Oleinik, that's a phenomenal win. Phenomenal win. And then they throw him against Jairzinho Rozenstruik. In totally 100%, the UFC is on their knees praying to God that Jairzinho Rozenstruik wins this fight. And it was looking horrible for Jairzinho. I was a big Jairzinho fan. I am. I'm a big fan of his message, what he does for the fans, of what he does for all those people back home in whatever country he is. It's too long to remember. But excuse me. But Alistair Overeem dominated this fight, and the whole aura we have right now is Jairzinho Rozenstruik is a top 6, top 7 heavyweight. If you're gonna tell me after that fight that Alistair Overeem is not better than Jairzinho Rozenstruik, you're crazy. You're crazy. He won 24 minutes and 55 seconds of that fight. He got clipped in the last 5 seconds, lost at 4:56. There was not a moment, a split second in any of that fight where Jairzinho Rozenstruik was ahead or showing any glimpses. He caught him at the end, and he got lucky. I mean, hey, especially in heavyweight, everybody has a fighter's chance. Everybody has a puncher's chance. Everybody has a puncher's chance, and Jairzinho Rozenstruik just cashed in, and he won the lottery that fight. If it's not for that, Alistair Overeem would be on a 4-fight win streak right now. Or excuse me. Yeah. Or no. If not for that fight, he would be on a 5-fight win streak. And a 5-fight win streak in the heavyweight division, we have Francis Ngannou who's on a 4-fight win streak, all first-round knockouts, beat Cain Velasquez. Who else? Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Gio Dos Santos, and who's the other one? I'm going to be mad because I'm not going to be able to remember it. Oh, and Curtis Blades, excuse me. And he's on a 4-fight win streak, all first-round knockouts. I think the total time is 3 minutes or some stupid, crazy, whatever, garbage. But Francis Ngannou's on a 4-fight win streak. He's at the top. He beat Alistair Overeem decisively. I was there. Craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. I perfectly remember watching that fight and just seeing all of a sudden, I just see Alistair's neck go from here to here and on the ground. The craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. That was 2017. I was 15 years old, and I'm in the lower bowl at Little Caesars Arena, UFC 218, headlined by Max Holloway, Jose Aldo 2, and I see that, and I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. How does one person possess this much power? How? It's insane. Insane what Francis Ngannou does. You know what? I'm just going to pause this, and we'll get back to the heavyweight division in a minute. But then after that, he goes out. Alistair Overeem goes out, beats Walt Harris, who was writing all this. I don't want to say sob story because it's not. It's way more than no. He deserves everything. He deserves tears, everything. But everybody was cheering for Walt Harris in that fight. He had everybody on his side, And, but at the same time, Alistair Overeem went out there and won the fight. And for Alistair Overeem to do that with everybody like, okay, I love you, Alistair, but, I'm cheering for this dude. And with a ton of his fans, not really cheering for him or just being like, okay, I'm an Overeem fan. I'm a fan of this story. I'm just going to watch this fight as a mixed martial arts fan. For Alistair to win that fight after getting hurt in the first, it just showed a lot of heart and grit. And Alistair Overeem's a dog. Then he got and then he beat Augusto Sakai in September in a fight that proved he could still go the distance. It didn't go the distance. It went 20 minutes and 26 seconds. But I mean, hey, it still proves that he can go the distance. And he's fighting a dude, a Russian beast, 6'7", 240. Ivan Drago, Alexander Drago Volkov, in a fight that is attempting to put a fight that is, in my opinion, is kind of making it do, like, in my opinion, the winner of this fight is going to be fighting, a dude at the top, like Curtis Blades next or something like that. I know Curtis Blades is scheduled to fight next, but in my opinion, the winner of this fight puts himself in the top 5 contenders for the belt, and at heavyweight, in my opinion, at least, you have 3 stars. You have 2 stars who are the 2 best 100%. Like it's crazy to think that there's still, like, 28 years of sports been a thing, basically, and there's still levels and levels to this game. Levels and levels. Excuse me. And especially at the heavyweight division, you have Francis Ngannou, and you have Stipe Miocic. Then you just have a bunch of blank spaces, and then you have everybody else. And I think that the winner of this fight is going to be in that everybody else category, and whoever loses is going to be in that kind of, like, especially if Alistair loses. If Alistair loses, I don't know if I want to see him fight again. I'll be honest. He's still good. He's still a phenomenal fighter, still one of the best in the world, but I feel like he's making one final run at the title, and if he doesn't win that title or at least get a title shot, he's got to call it off. Call it quits, man. You've done everything you could. You tried. It ain't gonna happen. You're one of the greatest of all time. But I mean, hey, this will be interesting to see, especially with UFC 260, I believe it's on March 27th. You have Francis Ngannou versus Stipe Miocic too. That's a really interesting fight, in my opinion. In my opinion, Francis Ngannou is such a more well-rounded and phenomenal fighter than he was January 20th, 2018 against Stipe Miocic. At the same time, this is going to sound crazy, but, like, it might make sense. It might. If this doesn't make any sense, I'm sorry. But when Stipe Miocic fought Francis Ngannou, he was healthy as could be. He was new to the title. He was on a roll. He was untouchable. He was on a roll. He was healthy. No chin problems. He wasn't in wars with Daniel Cormier yet. He wasn't he wasn't getting struck by Francis Ngannou yet. I feel like Francis Ngannou is still entering his prime. And I feel like Stipe Miocic is kind of, in my opinion, I feel like Stipe peaked in the second Cormier fight. The second Cormier fight, he peaked. And then in the third one, I feel like Stipe didn't look bad by any means. He looked phenomenal. He beat Daniel Cormier. But he definitely didn't look as good as he did in the second fight, in my opinion. And Daniel Cormier did not look nearly as good as he did in the first or second fight. I feel like it was a mix of styles. I feel like Daniel Cormier got a lot worse, and Stipe Miocic, didn't, seek that level. So what I'm trying to say is, in Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic's first fight, Francis clipped him many times. And it's still shocking to me how Stipe did not go down. But then, as soon as that fight was over, I believe it was in July. That fight was in January, I believe. Then I feel like he fought Daniel Cormier in July for the first time. And I think he came back too fast, and that caused him to get knocked out by Daniel Cormier so easily. And I think that this is potentially going to be what happens. Stipe Miocic's chin is not as good as it was against Ngannou, and he took some shots. Francis Ngannou, who's only gotten better, only gotten more strong, and it worries me for Stipe. I'll be completely honest with you. It worries me for him. I'm a big Stipe fan. I'm a big Ngannou fan. It worries me for him, though, man. It worries me. Excuse me. And especially after 2 wars with Daniel Cormier, I don't think that Stipe's chin is going to be able to hold up a Francis Ngannou shot. I think that Francis Ngannou knocks him out in the first round. And then they have a trilogy fight, and Francis wins again. Stipe calls it quits, retires as the greatest ever. I don't care what anybody says. And then it's all John Jones from there. All John Jones, Francis Ngannou, who's going to be the next era. My opinion, John Jones wins that Francis Ngannou fight 10 times out of 10. He does not lose that fight. The John Jones fight at heavyweight, excuse me. I feel like if John Jones puts on a ton of muscle, his fight IQ, his striking IQ, his grappling IQ, and his striking in general, his grappling in general, it's just way too good for anybody else in this world. In my opinion, he won that Dominic fight. He won the first Gustafsson fight. John Jones has never lost a fight. If you want to say he lost him at Hamill, I mean, even Dana White said he didn't. If you want to say he did, then good for you. You don't know what you're talking about. He was beating him so bad that he got caught with an illegal strike. And as simple as that. Who cares about the steroids? John Jones, if he retires undefeated, never lost. Sorry, Khabib, greatest of all time, just because of his resume, who he's beat. So all we're gonna say on that. And especially for this card in the co-main event, we have an awesome fight actually, with Frankie Edgar and Corey Sandhagen in what I believe is a really interesting fight, especially at 135, in which I think is probably the second best division in the world in the UFC. Probably the most toughest. If you're fighting in a division where Dominic Cruz, the consensus greatest bantamweight of all time, is at number 12 or something crazy like that. I wish this stupid app would load. Yeah. If you're in a division where Dominic Cruz, the consensus greatest of all time, is ranked number 11, what the heck is going on 1 through the champion through and 1 through 10? What the heck, man? Especially for this fight, you have Corey Sandhagen, number 2, going up against Frankie Edgar. Corey Sandhagen is coming off a knockout, a crazy knockout win against Marlon Moraes in a fight I thought he was for sure going to lose. In a fight I for sure thought he was going to lose. That was just what I thought. What do I know? I'm not smart. And Corey Sandhagen, he lost to Sterling in August, I believe. August, June, July, sometime in the summer. The summer just blew by. I don't know any days. So it's especially in bantamweight, I'm not sure what day it's booked. I think it's March 6th. Let me double check because I don't want to give you guys false information. If I can find the MMA Junkie app. Events. Yes. March 6th, we have Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling in a fight that, it's the champion versus the clear consensus number 1 contender. Perfect fight. After that fight, you had Corey Sandhagen fighting Frankie Edgar. And after this fight, I think if Corey Sandhagen beats Frankie Edgar, there's nobody else you can give a title shot to next except the winner of Corey Sandhagen. Excuse me. If Corey Sandhagen is win that fight, he is a clear consensus number 1 contender. He should be fighting for the belt next. Other than that, at bantamweight, at the same time, you have TJ Dillashaw, who just got off suspension about 2 weeks ago. And you have TJ Dillashaw, who is, in my opinion, the second best 135er of all time and the clear-cut best in the past couple of years. I know he got suspended for a while. Who cares? I'm very interested to see how he comes back. But I think for both TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt, they both, in my opinion, should fight Jose Aldo. I think that the fight makes more sense for TJ Dillashaw to fight Jose Aldo because TJ Dillashaw coming back, and then you have him facing a legend who everybody knows in Jose Aldo is a perfect fight for TJ Dillashaw to come back. Because if he beats Jose Aldo, you're like, oh my God, he just beat Jose Aldo. He's back. He's the champ. Give him Peter Yan. And that's what you do. That is exactly what you do. TJ Dillashaw comes back, beats the greatest featherweight of all time decisively. You hand him the shot. I don't care if Peter Yan is booked against Corey Sandhagen. I don't care what happens. You say, Corey, sit down. TJ Dillashaw, Peter Yan. And I think another fun fight at 135 is Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt. If that's not the perfect UFC Fight Night ESPN main event in the world, I don't know what is. I don't know what is if that's not what it is. If Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt isn't a cracker of a fight in your head, then you need to sit down, think about what you're saying, and then just rethink your life. Because that is a cracker of a fight, and that's honestly, in my opinion, probably the most fun fight that you can make at 135 at this moment. And I am so pumped for this. I'm so pumped just thinking about that fight. You have Rob Font, phenomenal boxing, hits hard. You have Cody Garbrandt, phenomenal boxing, hits hard, fights emotionally. That's his one downside. If Cody Garbrandt gets it to the ground, I'm confident that he's beating Rob Font. If Rob Font can keep it standing, I can clearly see Cody getting upset, throwing some stupid shots. Rob Font pieces him up. That's just being honest. I love Rob Font. I love Cody Garbrandt. I love both of those dudes. And that's why I want to see a fight. I love Dustin Poirier. I love Conor McGregor. I want to see that fight, and we get to see it. It didn't go my way, but I love Dustin Poirier. It's all good. Shout out to the Good Fight Foundation, by the way. But yeah, 135, disgusting, super stacked division. Besides that, I was so confused. I was like, what the heck? Where'd it go? There it is. And then you have Macy Chassin fighting Marion Renault. Macy Chassin, I think she was on The Ultimate Fighter. She's pretty good. Marion Renault's a vet. Probably trying to put Macy Chassin over. Good fight. Be interesting to see. Probably good decision. This is the one fight. I forgot about this fight. Oh, you have Alexandre Pantoja versus Manel Kape in a fight that I believe Kape was a flyweight champion one, I believe. I could be wrong. Hang on. This is very hard to see because all this stuff is so low key. Or no. He was a flyweight champion in Risen. And I think this is an awesome fight because I think Kape can be a beast. I've seen some of his clips. That dude hits hard. He's a beast. And he's going in there fighting a top 5 dude in Alexandre Pantoja. Especially at 125 where, I know you have Davison. He's the champ. Then, I obviously know what's next. You have Brandon Moreno deserves a shot. It was a draw. Whatever. It was a draw and a cracker of a fight. In my opinion, the fight of the year, probably. No offense to everybody else. The fight of the year. After that, if Cody Garbrandt wants to go down and fight for the belt, he's there. But then if this Manel Kape dude can go out there, starts Pantoja, you automatically have a number 2-3 contender on your hands. Because there's no real contenders there. There's Davison Figueiredo, there's Brandon Moreno, and then there's hope that Cody Garbrandt will be there one day. And then if you insert Kape right there, you could be looking at some fun fights, man. Some fun fights. Him versus Davison Figueiredo will be a cracker. I hope that this Kape dude's as good as he looks. And then rounding up the main card, we have Cody Stamann versus Andre Ewell in a fight Cody Stamann should win. I saw Andre Ewell fight. Cody Stamann is a dog, a friend of the podcast. I've never truly had him on. We've talked about it. Just didn't come to happen. I love Cody Stamann. Cody Stamann is my guy. He's my favorite 135er. He's from Michigan. He was the first fighter I actually ever met. Funny story, actually. I met Cody Stamann. I was walking out of my terminal in the Detroit airport. I was walking to my terminal, and all of a sudden I look in front of me, and there's a dude with a UFC backpack on. And me as a fan, I've seen this backpack before, and I'm like, that's a $120 backpack. This dude's either a fighter or a diehard fan. So I tap my dad, I'm like, that's probably Cody Stamann. He's like, who? I was like, he's a UFC fighter. He's from Michigan. He's like, why do you say that? I was like, because he's got on like a $130 backpack right there. And so it's pretty creepy, actually, because my terminal is right across from his. So then as soon as I get to my terminal, he gets to his because they're right across from each other. He sits down. I'm like, Dad, that's Cody Stamann. He was the first fighter I ever met. And he's like, go talk to him. So I walked up to him. I was like, hey, you're Cody Stamann, right? And if you're being like, Cody, if you listen to this, if you're being honest, I kind of thought I scared him because he was like, he kind of stopped. He's like, yeah. I was like, dude, I'm a big fan of yours, you know, because by a couple of days before that, I didn't speak with him, but I saw him at the Justin James fight in Warrior Extreme Fighting or something. I don't know. It's called it's based out of Michigan. I don't know. It was where Justin James was before. But I'll always ride with Cody Stamann because of me meeting him, it kind of made me like really open up and just even more dive into just all this fighting I was about. Because I was about fighting. I met Cody Stamann and I was instantly inspired. And I eventually grew into the person I am today, and I absolutely love this stuff. So Cody Stamann, thank you. Cody Stamann's in an awesome fight this week with Andre Ewell, who I saw fight in Texas. It should be a good win for Cody, for him to get back after a tough loss to Jimmy Rivera on Fight Island. I'm just glad Cody's getting back out there and fighting a dog like Cody, like Andre Ewell. I think that this could be a killer fight and potential fight of the night. Cody Stamann's always a fun fight. Andre was always a fun fight. Pencil me in for Cody Stamann on this one, though. Let's rock it, Cody. Michigan made, baby. And then rounding out the main card, Cracker. Absolute cracker. The most underrated lightweight in the world. He's ranked right by Dan Hooker. He's ranked right by who else is in top? Ali Quinta. Ranked above Kevin Lee. Diego Ferreira is the most underrated lightweight in the world, potentially in the entire company. Diego Ferreira is somebody you do not want to mess with. And for them to throw out Beneil Dariush, who hits like a truck, this is an awesome fight. Awesome fight. It doesn't get much better than this. This has fight of the night written on it too. I'm big on Diego Ferreira. I think he's a dark horse in the lightweight division. But at the same time, I think Beneil Dariush is the dark horse in the lightweight division. I don't know what's gonna happen in this fight. I think either Beneil's gonna knock him out or Diego's gonna make him go tap tap tap. Phenomenal fight. Watch this fight. Do not miss this fight. And then we got Clay Guida, Michael Johnson in the prelim main event. If that doesn't scream absolute war, I don't know what does. When was the last time you saw Clay Guida take a step back? And Michael Johnson, always entertaining, quick, fun, great dude. Michael the Menace Johnson. This is a phenomenal fight. It's a phenomenal card, top to bottom. If you're not excited for this card, you're not a fight fan. Simple as that. Then we have Danilo Marquez versus Mike Rodriguez. Mike Rodriguez is good. Tamir Avalayev versus Martin Day. And then this is news. This is news. Just in today, Justin James stepping up on what's today, Monday? 5 days notice to fight Devontae Smith. In a fight that, in my opinion, is a tough fight for Justin James. Devontae Smith is a phenomenal fighter. He got sidelined a little bit. And this is his comeback fight. He was supposed to fight. I don't know who he's supposed to fight, but who cares? Who cares about that? Who cares? He's fighting Justin James now. Justin James is always entertaining to watch. My best friend Vaughn is close with Justin James, so I'm always cheering for Justin James. I'm a big James guy. I'll cheer for him every time he goes out there. Justin James, if you're hearing this, you're a beast. I'm looking forward to seeing you fight this weekend. You're an absolute dog for stepping up on 5 days' notice. I wouldn't step up on 5 days' notice for a fight. Especially in the UFC, and there's all these circumstances. You have to get tested all these times. You have to quarantine, all that stuff. Justin James, for doing this, you're a beast. You're a dog. There's nobody like you. You're a warrior. I'm looking forward to seeing you with the upset, coming in on 5 days' notice, and just like last time when you came in on a couple days' notice, shocking the world. 50K performance of the night bonus, baby. Let's get it, Justin. I just dropped my phone. That's bad. And then you have Jocelyn Edwards, Carol Rosa. And then Molly McCann. Molly McCann's always a fun fight. She's very entertaining to watch. I love Molly McCann. She's probably gonna win this fight. You have Shang Lu Choi versus Yusuf Zalal. I think Zalal is really good. I think. I could be wrong. And then you have Dennis Bonder versus Odie Osborne. I remember watching Odie Osborne on Dana White's Contender Series. That dude's a force to be reckoned with. Watch out for that dude. Besides that fight card, that's about it. That's all I got for the fight card. And moving on to other fights, I probably spoke about this last week, but we have Gilbert Burns versus Kamaru Usman, a done deal for February 13th. And if you think about it, this just got finalized like a week and a half ago, and it's already coming up. It's already like next week. It is next week. It's next week. Right? Or am I crazy? No, it's next week. Jeez. And a killer fight card, too. You have Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Burns, Pedro Munoz, Jimmy Rivera. Sign me up. Jeez. You have Kelvin Gastelum trying to make a comeback against Ian Heinisch. Phenomenal fight. Kelvin Gastelum trying to come back from, 2-3 straight losses or something crazy like that. This should be interesting to see how Calvin battles adversity. It's a good fight. And the thing I do like for this fight for Calvin is it's not a top dog. It's not, because he lost to Izzy, lost to Till, and then they threw him Jack Hermanson. Give the dude a break. Give him a break. I'm not the biggest Calvin Gastelum fan in the world, but give the man a break. Give the man a break. Dear God. Poor dude. Poor dude had the fight of the year with Israel Adesanya. He stood and struck with Israel Adesanya. Give the man a break. Give him a break. And I feel like him fighting Ian Heinisch is a perfect opportunity for this fight. You have Macy Barber. I'm big on Macy Barber. I know she lost her last fight to Roxanne, I think. But Macy Barber's the future of the women's division. She's a beast. She's fun to watch. She's so high on herself. She has so much confidence in the world. It's overflowing. I'm big on Macy Barber. Always have been. Always will be. Macy Barber's a force to be reckoned with. Watch out. She's fighting Alexa Grasso too. That's a good fight. Gabe Green, Phil Rowe, Bilal Muhammad versus Diego Lima got rebooked. Jillian Robertson's always fun. She's supposed to come on the podcast, but then she didn't respond. Anthony Hernandez, Rodolfo Vieira, Mallory Martin, Poliana Viana. Poliana's good. She'll probably win that fight. And then this is a fight that interests me. Ricky Simone, Brian Kelleher. Brian Kelleher hits like a truck. Awesome to watch. Ricky Simone hits like a truck. Awesome to watch. You put these two in a cage together, you're getting a fight of the night cracker. Simple as that. And then Bobby Green, who's the king of the Apex, going up against the vet, the legend Jim Miller. Doesn't get much better than that. But I just want to focus on the main event of that card for a minute, because I think that it's not being talked about enough. Excuse me. You had Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman. Okay, obviously. This is a fight that I'll be honest with you. If you're not a big fight fan, don't buy this card, don't buy this fight. You're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to keep buying them. This isn't the card for casuals. I'll be honest. But if you're a diehard fan like me, this is making you just absolutely just fantasize about how high level and how many different things can happen in this fight. Now, as expected, Kamaru Usman's a heavy favorite in this fight. And I perfectly understand that, perfectly agree with that. He is a heavy favorite in this fight. But they're friends, they're former training partners, they know each other well. I think that Gilbert Burns has a much better chance at winning this fight than people are giving him. Now, I'm still picking Kamaru Usman to win this fight. I don't want him to win this fight. I don't. I do not like Kamaru Usman. I think he's terrible. He's awesome. He's a phenomenal fighter. But I think he's terrible. Terrible. Said it. Boom. But he's a good fighter. But if you are here, if Kamaru Usman takes him down, if he can take him down, what's next? Now, and I know, most of the time, if it's a BJJ practitioner versus a wrestler, the wrestler tends to win. Gilbert Burns is built different. Gilbert Burns is probably one of the best BJJ practitioners we've ever seen in the company. we've ever seen in the company. And I think that if Kamaru takes him down, he can catch him with something crazy. And I think that that both their striking is even, except I think Burns hits a little bit harder. So I think that this is honestly, besides Colby Covington, in my opinion, this is the worst matchup possible for Kamaru Usman. Burns knows exactly what he's getting into when he gets into this fight. And Kamaru knows exactly what he's getting into with this fight. The only thing that worries me for Gilbert Burns is the fact that you have Kamaru Usman now at Elevation Fight Team. He's rolling around with Justin Gaethje, and he's got Trevor Whitman in his corner. Trevor Whitman, in my opinion, is probably, in my opinion, is the best coach in the world. The best coach in the world, Trevor Whitman is. And I think that that'll be I think that that'll be big because Trevor Whitman took a crazy wild style Justin Gaethje and made him into a preserved, absolute beast, absolute calculated, knows what he's gonna do with every punch. Every punch means something, and he turned him into a completely different fighter. And I think that it's scary. It's a scary thought to think that he could potentially make Kamaru Usman better. But still, at the same time, don't be surprised if Gilbert Burns catches him. Don't be surprised if he makes him go tap, tap, tap. But besides that, there's no fights this week, so there's not much to talk about in that. I'm just looking forward to some of these fights, man. March is gonna be insane. I think there's 5 belts up for grabs or something crazy like that. You have Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega is a done deal. That's an awesome fight. I think it makes sense. The only thing, Max Holloway makes sense, but I don't want to give him 3 shots. But at the same time, I don't want to give Max Holloway 3 shots at fighting Volkanovski before anybody else gets one. I think it's perfect timing for Brian Ortega, who just had a phenomenal performance against the Korean Zombie, who everybody counted him out for. And he's going to come out there and I think that Brian Ortega is going to shock the world. I think he's going to shock the world, beat Alexander Volkanovski, and then they're going to do Max Holloway versus Brian Ortega, and Max Holloway is going to absolutely obliterate him again. And then Max Holloway's got his belt, and then Volkanovski's got to chase Max. It'll be the perfect scenario, perfectly beautiful. Everything's perfect. Wow, 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 wow. But besides that, that's all we got for today. This past Friday, I finished up an interview with UFC featherweight Billy Quarantillo. He said he joined my podcast because I said his name right, so shout out to Billy Quarantillo. That'll be that is up on the channel. I'll put it on the end screen right here. Should be like right about there right now. I don't know how this stuff works. But that's all we got for today. Make sure you check that video with Billy Quarantillo out. Absolute fun episode. Billy's a great dude. That's all we got for today. Everybody, hope you guys have a great week and enjoy the fights this weekend. And I'll see you guys next Monday.